Satsang. You know, it's good news because last satsang that we've had proved to be one of the best emails ever. And the reason I'm reporting it this way is because I had well over 100 emails talking about it. And it has touched more people than any other satsang ever done, really. You know, and you contributed a lot, you did, it was wonderful. So, anyway, one of the topic was the willingness to experience directly. Okay, and many people got it. Now, some didn't, and they were very disturbed by it. But that disturbance is what is going to be addressed today in this topic. Okay? First of all, quite a few people have said, but Burt, you said that 90% of the people are unwilling to really face the truth. In other words, unwilling to experience directly the truth as it happens moment to moment. And briefly, what we mean by experience directly, because the only truth we have is here now. Now is the only truth there is. What has happened has happened. What is going to happen is going to happen. But what is happening is the truth, is the moment. And if we look at it directly, we will find something very beautiful. No matter what is happening, it is always made up of love. And you know, I was very impressed by getting some of these emails who covered this aspect and what they learned from it. So now comes the crucial topic today. It is this. Since most people are unwilling to experience directly what is at the moment, then why harp about it? Why talk about it if most people are not willing? Well, here's the good news. And it's terrific news, it's powerful, and this is what it's about today. Okay? If you're unwilling to experience what is at the moment, for whatever reason, and you acknowledge it honestly, you've already taken a giant step. Because that very acknowledgement will take out the victim mentality from what is happening. Because most of the time, the moment something negative happens, you blame someone, you blame something, or you blame yourself. And also, you take it outside of yourself. But the moment you acknowledge the fact that there is a part of you that doesn't want to look at it, that doesn't want to learn from it, that doesn't want to face it, if you acknowledge that, that very acknowledgement itself will automatically remove any sense of being a victim. Well, the moment the sense of being a victim is gone, what remains? A sense of self-responsibility without realizing it. Because I know I'm not willing. And because I know I'm not willing, now I have to face the fact that what is happening I'm not a victim of, but maybe somehow or other I have created it, subconsciously or in whatever form. Okay, so now I have a few of the emails and I'd love your participation in that. The first one is this. This is an aware woman, and the moment she said to me, when she saw the title of the video, she said, well, the willingness to experience directly. Well, of course, what else is there in order to learn? And so when she saw the title, she was going to bypass the video from watching it. But then a part of her watched it. When she watched it, she realized something very beautiful, is that whenever there's emotional pain, it's a distortion of love. And so this is what she wrote. When I just saw the title of your latest satsang, Willingness to Experience, I felt like I don't need to watch it at all. I realized a while ago that how can I ever experience peace and love and joy if I'm neglecting my emotional body? But I know now that I have to awaken my emotional body and experience it fully. There is no other way around that. You said as well as Eckhart Tolle and Muji and Osho and all the other masters, that love is all there is. In fact, you said that probably 1,000 times over your videos, and it hit me. I realized that anger, grief, fear are all love in distortion. That's quite a realization. We all experience love in distortion because of our past. We experience anger, grief, and fear because the mind made some past experience as wrong. We cannot help that. We didn't know as children what to do, so we made it wrong. And then suffering started. Love in distortion. In the end, no book will help anybody unless they are willing to experience life fully. I really think that everybody should see this satsang, number 61 of last week. Okay, so when she said, I think it's a she, I'm not sure, because I removed the name. What do you feel makes distorted? Grief, emotional pain, regret, shame, depression. What do you feel makes it's a distortion of love?
It's almost like it starts out as a distortion because it's seemingly out there.
Okay, so first we actually see it out there instead of seeing it that we are feeling and experiencing it. Very good. Okay, let's go deeper.
Well, whatever you call the experience, if you experience that directly, you don't even need to name it or put it anywhere. Just experience what your experience is at that time fully, and everything else then it doesn't matter what you call it, good, bad, or otherwise, because that experience is pure in itself, and it will, the experience in itself will show you your shell that's connected to something, but what's even better for me is that it will touch something in you that is pure and untouched by any circumstance. And that is that direct experience. That's an experience directly of love that is in everything.
Right. So therefore love can appear as anger then, and depression and grief and sadness?
Well, it is, we put the label on it like anger, but if that arises and we are totally aware of that, then it is just an energy passing through the body that doesn't need to be condemned or judged or anything. Right. It is just...
So how would you see that as a need for love then?
Well, I think that the attachment, in other words, wanting to be angry or stay angry, or is an attempt to give us a false sense of power, as if we aren't helpless. We are.
Yeah. Very beautiful. Okay.
That's how I see it.
That's great, yes. Yes. So you see, so we're beginning to see that when we look directly, the moment is always love, the moment is always God, the moment is always beauty. But we have bypassed that because we give it our distortion in interpretation, and we miss the point. Okay, so this was quite something to cover. I'd like to go into number 2. Do you mind reading it,
sure.
Boris? Yeah. Number 2 has the willingness to experience directly, okay, the truth.
Dear Burt, Thank you so much for your satsangs on YouTube, especially number 61. The willingness to experience directly. The satsangs always come when I need to look at something. So yesterday I accidentally came across your webcam about confusion and how to integrate the human part with the being. How simple, but how difficult to do it. And yet, when I can remember at the right moment, when some irritation or fear comes up, that I am being, the irritation or panic fades away. This happened last night when I woke up in a panic in the middle of the night, and I could remember that I am bigger than this panic feeling, and after a few minutes it went away.
Isn't that something, though? That's just another beautiful realization. You see, she or he experienced it directly, and at that moment, even the panic went away in a few minutes by simply looking at it. How does that happen? Can we go into what it is that when we allow ourselves to be in the moment, we can actually become transformed? This is what awakening is. Awakening has nothing to do with something that you're going to achieve, it's something you're going to get in the future, it's something that's going to happen. It's your willingness to experience it now. But here's the point, willingness. Now, Namgyal said something last satsang that very impressed me with his brilliance. And he said, well, it isn't intent, the willingness, but yet it isn't surrender either. And it's so true. So what is it then? What is the willingness itself?
Seems like it's presence,
Okay.
which is like pure awareness in that moment. It's just the presence you have to understand.
And what does that presence feel like that actually creates that willingness?
It's almost like it's whatever's going on is just allowed to be what it is.
Allowed to be what it is. Beautiful. Yeah.
And in that is all the understanding.
So the knowing your presence in the moment brings an allowing whatever is to be. And that very allowing is an opening. You see? So it doesn't go inside and fester. You see, what happens ordinarily that we keep things inside. Somebody hurts your feelings, or somebody says something that reminds you of a poor self-image that you might have of yourself, etc. And this is created so you keep it inside. When you keep it inside, it festers. We know that, right? So it stays inside you. When it stays inside you, it keeps on building. Before we know it, we have a dysfunctional personality. You keep it there for a while, it keeps on adding, compounding. Every time somebody says something, you begin to think there's something wrong with you and not good enough. You see? And it keeps on destroying the image that you have of yourself, which of course is just an image anyway. Okay? And this is how problems are created. But the moment you tackle it in the moment, that very moment itself becomes healing. Why?
One, when you are present in the moment, this is a paradox, but when you are present in the moment, you aren't in the way. You haven't separated yourself.
That is so beautiful.
From
You're not in the way. I have to kind of repeat your words. Yeah, isn't that wonderful? You're not in the way. The moment you address it, there's no ego.
Yeah.
You see? At the very, when you look at something in the moment, see, because the ego can only exist in time. Only exists in time. Now let me clarify something before we go further. You see, if you go to the internet, you'll find there are many teachings. Teachers are now sprouting like new flowers, new vegetation, everywhere. But did you know that 90% of these teachings are based on well-being, self-empowerment, abundance, becoming healthier, how to exercise better, how to do yoga, how to have a good relationship, and all this, which is fine, which all add up, but it's a temporary because it's made up of time and space. Got it? So all time and space teachings are limited, but they're beautiful. You see, you can take all the different methods that have come up lately are all meant for this type of teaching. And 90% teach only this because you cannot make money from truth.
Right.
Right? See? But there is something else. 10% of teaching is called truth. But truth is nothing. Truth is not something. Truth is not achievable. Truth is not something that you can study. Truth, you cannot talk about truth. I mean, many people that think that they're talking about truth, they're still talking in duality. The very fact that even writing a book is a form of duality. Do you understand me? Okay. So therefore, only 10% really teach the truth. Because you cannot make money from truth. Okay? Because truth is what? This moment. Right? And this moment is eternal. Once you know this moment, you have waken up. You woke up. Right? That's what awakening is. Seeing that this moment is all there is.
And with that, there's nothing to gain or nothing to run from.
Right.
So there goes the whole advertising campaign.
That's right. That's right. And you cannot charge for teaching people how to be now.
Yes.
Because I'm already now anyway. Okay. So in other words, there's nothing to get, right? Okay, so this is where you came in right now. And it's true that the moment we look at something in the moment, there is no self. Because the self can only exist, the ego can only exist as past or future. And it creates the time sequence. Because even our brain is made up of linear time, right? Linear time means that if you go up in the sky, on an airplane, and you see a ship in the water moving, you can see leaving a trail behind. That's the past. And you can also see where it's heading. It's the future. You see? So as it moves it horizontally in time and space. But in truth, it's always here. You see? Wherever it has moved, there it is. Because wherever you are, there you are. That always makes me laugh. So this is the truth, you see. Everything is here now, this moment itself. And the moment you bring something to the moment, that very moment itself, there is no you to do it. And so if you have the presence of mind to do it, which takes willingness, then you override it. And that's what happened to this person, you see. She suffered panic, and she looked at it. In 2 minutes, it was gone. Wow. If you go to a psychiatrist, they'll give you so many drugs, and thousands of dollars later and months later, oh, you're getting better. Not realizing that in the moment, there is no time. And you can be over it. You see? Emotional pain is distortion of love, because your nature is love. It is now. This moment. You see? And thank you for people like Nanjel, who's able to make it so simple to understand. Okay, so let's tackle the third one. Do you mind?
Don't mind.
Oh, okay. Can you raise your voice just a little bit more? Just a little.
Surely. Dear Bello.
Yeah. Sorry. She calls me Bello. In Italian, it means beautiful.
Your email has struck a chord with me. The statement, you see the moment, we acknowledge what is truly happening, then we are no longer playing victims, but willing sufferers.
Willing sufferers.
Sufferers, but willing sufferers. Once they start realizing that they are willing sufferers, something happens inside them, and the release will happen through grace often. This is probably one of the most direct statements I have heard. Willing sufferers. My goodness. This is what people do to keep small and not claim their divinity. We give suffering our total cooperation, our total immersion into it, and never, ever question it. Never look at it, and yet the moment we do, the veil is pulled. It is so honest and pure in its unveiling, but so gentle and loving at the same time. Love will always take care of us as long as we are honest with how we feel and acknowledge it, therefore giving it up to God. There is no punishment, only what our minds tell us. God does not feel ashamed of us or disappointed, as our minds tell us. God works within us, with us, to strengthen the love, and this is where the turning point is, where we turn from the lie to the truth. Thank you, Burt, for that email. It doesn't matter when, it doesn't matter then what is taught. Enneagram, Sedona, whatever. It all boils down to the willingness to see the lies and the truth, and then let love take over.
Thank you. Now, you see how the beauty of some of these letters, how much they're getting from that video that we did. So this is willing sufferers. Okay, the word willing sufferers, it was used by myself. Okay, but again, it struck a chord with her when she heard it. A willing sufferer means that when people suffer emotional pain, it means they're willing to suffer. I've had people on Skype and they say to me, well, you know, I try to be as direct as possible with everything that is happening, but immediately my mind takes me away, but what if? And I'm almost willing to be depressed. I'm willing to just grieve or think about it and feel sorry for myself. And then he said something very interesting. This was a Skype session, and he said, I like going into my comfort zone. So even depression is a comfort zone. Even being negative is a comfort zone. You see? So it can become a habit. So people who get easily depressed are actually escaping. They're willing sufferers to go into that state in order to escape the truth. Because the truth has always been unpleasant to them. Because they thought that the truth was what their parents taught them, what religion taught them that they are. You see what I mean? So if you laughed at school, you've been laughed at, or people have looked down on you, you think that this is who you are, which is just a self-image that you made up anyway. But you think that this is who you are, the ego. You see? So because of that, you are almost willing to get into your shell and be a willing sufferer rather than look at the truth of the moment, which is always love. Okay, so that is interesting. Let's talk about it, okay, how this happens.
Is that because the discomfort's familiar?
The discomfort is familiar. That is correct. It becomes so familiar, getting offended, getting hurt, thinking you're not good enough, thinking there's something wrong with you, that you have believed it so long, you've believed it so much, that you feel you actually deserve it. And so you begin to mull over your pain. Is this true? Maybe people don't love me. Maybe there's something wrong with me. And you keep mulling it over and making it real more and more and more, over and over and over, until you become so-called dysfunctional. You go into a mental home because right now you're totally bought the whole enchilada. You see? And you believe it's real. And then it comes to the point where you become so dysfunctional that you can't even cope. You can't even understand, because another thing that happens is that when you keep buying time and space, buying time and space means just thinking about it, okay? Every time you think about it, you're caught in time and space. So every time you're caught in time and space, you are following a pattern of thought which is actually totally unreal, because the time and space of your thinking is devoid of this moment. And because it's devoid of this moment, it makes you incapable of understanding the moment. And when you become incapable understanding the moment, then the dysfunction becomes a natural course of your own behavior, of your own thinking, of your own feeling nature. You see? So that even if somebody tells you the truth, even if somebody talks to you, you cannot hear it. Oh, you hear the words, but you don't hear it. You see? So this is why, because the talk that we had last satsang has touched 2,300 people so far, which was less than a week because I uploaded it Friday night. So now some of these became quite disturbed because again it means, oh my goodness, I've got to look at the truth, but the truth is frightening. I don't want to handle it. I don't want to. So the good news is, and I repeat, is that if you're not willing to look directly, it's okay. But just acknowledge it openly and verbally. I am not willing to look directly at the truth of this moment. Say it honestly. And if you do that, immediately it takes away the victim mentality. And the next step is, really? Wow. Therefore I am creating this.
It's like instant forgiveness.
You see how it works,
Yeah.
though? Yeah, it's very powerful, you see. And many people caught it, as you can see from reading these emails. You know, it's quite beautiful. So before we tackle the next email, are there any questions?
Yeah, how do you draw the line from, I'm not willing to look at this, I acknowledge some emotional pain or something, to, I am creating this?
Well, first of all, the moment you acknowledge the fact that I'm not willing, in itself, you are immediately saying, indirectly, if I'm not willing to face it, no wonder I'm feeling awful. I don't want to look at the truth. The truth is the only thing that's true, isn't it?
Okay.
Right. So therefore I'm escaping, but I'm not a victim, because if I am willing to look at the truth, then of course I am being responsible.
So in that moment, the emotional discomfort is the truth.
So at that moment, you see, whatever is happening in the moment is the only truth you know. The only truth we know is what is happening now. Anything else is just memory. That doesn't mean memory is not real. We learn from memory. But the point is it happened. It's not a happening. And it is the happening that is the truth. You see? So whatever is happening in the moment is the only thing we need to be concerned with. When we look at the happening as it is, we will find that we are looking at it in a distorted way. The distortion is that I'm giving it my interpretation according to what I think I am and how I think I am. You see, based on the image that I have, you know, that I've imposed on myself through what people tell me or how I interact or how I feel, etc., etc. Yeah.
So one of the emotional sort of things that catches me sometimes is agitation. And so I just came back from a trip, and coming back into kind of the old scenario, I was very agitated for a few days. And it's a kind of an agitation where
you know what agitation is? Are you aware? Agitation means things are not going the way you want them to be. There is some expectations, the way you... this is all happening subconsciously, okay? So you have to be aware of that. We have ideas how we want things to happen. Even before we visit somebody, for example, even on the way, there's expectations, how we think it's going to be. We can't help that.
Right. So let's say, you know, I'd like to sit down and just settle, you know, feel settled, and I can't. So, you know, I'm just doing everything to...
Right, because you're
time.
agitated, but you're trying to settle instead of being one with the agitation.
Yes, so how would you, you know, be one with the agitation? You just don't sit down, don't be with
No, I'll tell you what, we have to read the next email, because this guy was super in explaining how to do just that.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Let me read this one. This is number 4 because it addresses that. Okay? He wrote, clear seeing is really intensifying in me. When I'm looking at your satsangs, I'm seeing a person who is so present that it seems that you are doing nothing at all, Burt. Beautiful words come out of your mouth and everything seems so natural. You are smiling, you are relaxed, and you are breathing easily. That made me wonder, what is the difference between that state of being and the state of anger or grief? Are you with me so far? When you are natural with whatever is happening. Keep listening now. I really don't care what is the difference, but I have noticed that when I allow myself to be fully angry, I'm also doing nothing at all, just like you, Burt. Anger creates all sorts of behaviors, words, comments, thoughts. But it seems only natural that it is doing so. It is anger. You're not trying to get rid of your state of being, so why should I get rid of anger? It is only of your state of being. I'm sorry, I'm reading the line again, pardon. Okay. It is only natural to feel angry in this world, but when a person becomes aware that he, she is not the anger, grief, or whatever, he, she can then play with his or her emotions like a child with a ball. Are we getting this now? Okay, so it is so simple. Complications arise the moment you try to figure things out. How can I get rid of this and become peaceful? Because we are denying the moment of the way it is. And if we allow it to be what it is, we do not carry the grief, we do not carry the anger with us because we are allowing it at the moment, just like a child playing ball. You're angry at the moment, oh,